Hey, good afternoon, everyone. This is Nate Gustafson. So glad to be with you for another one of our monthly training webinars as a part of our Hope Connection series, where we just want to see you all advance hope. Advance hope in your home, advance hope in your community, and advance hope beyond your imagination, beyond your wildest dreams, beyond whatever you think you can't do. We want to see you do it. We want to see people's lives impacted and changed. And I know that if you're watching this, that's your goal as well. You might be a hospice volunteer, you might be a nurse at a hospital, you might be a Sunday school teacher, a counselor, a parent, a grandparent, a friendly neighbor that just wants to see your world in a little bit better shape than what it's in now. So thank you for joining me. Thank you for joining me with this webinar, Serving from Your Sweet Spot. It's Monday, March 18th, and whether you're seeing this live and in person, wherever you might be, or whether you're catching this recording later, I just want to encourage you to share this. Would you please let people know if it's helped you? If you have any constructive feedback or criticism, I promise I won't criticize back. You're welcome to share whatever would be helpful to make these training opportunities even better. So let's begin. I don't know if any of you were baseball or softball players, but my Little League career was short and sweet. I always played first base because I couldn't catch a fly ball and I couldn't really catch a ground ball. And I was really tall, so I had a pretty good chance of catching whatever was thrown at me from whatever direction it was thrown at me. And the last summer I played Little League baseball, our pitcher broke his arm. And so we had open tryouts to see who could even get the ball over the plate, let alone in a strike zone, and I managed to win the pitching job. So I played first base, I pitched, I thought I was doing pretty good, and my favorite bat, though, that was what I loved the most. I loved to be at bat. I wasn't a good batter. If I ever hit the ball into the outfield, I think it was a miracle, but I loved going to bat. I loved the challenge of seeing if I could make contact with the pitch, and I had a favorite Louisville Slugger aluminum bat that I can picture in my mind today. It had a blue rubber grip on it. It had blue lettering on it that said Louisville Slugger. And I think the number on it was like 125, or maybe the 125th year of Louisville Sluggers, or 125 was something important. But anyway, if I hit that ball right between the 2 and the 5 and 125, I was hitting the sweet spot. Oh, I could feel how the ball would just jump off of the bat. And it was so much fun to hit it off of the sweet spot. I didn't have a lot of experience hitting it off the sweet spot, other than when I would just kind of throw the ball up to myself in the backyard and imagine myself hitting a home run in Yankee Stadium or Dodger Stadium or wherever the stadium might be. But, oh, there was nothing like hitting it from the sweet spot. If I hit it too close to the handle, oh, it hurt my hands terribly. If I hit it too close to the edge of the bat, it just kind of thudded and weakly dribbled along the infield. But boy, if I hit it anywhere near that sweet spot or exactly on the sweet spot, there was nothing like it. And I think that for you and I who are out there giving of our time, our talent, our treasures, our energy, we probably have occasions where we really wonder if it's worth it. We really wonder if we're ever going to make contact. Are we ever going to have any success at all? Or are we just going to constantly dribble a ball out to the shortstop and get thrown out before we get to first base? I've been in those seasons, and in those seasons often. I think it's normal if you really care to want to hit a home run every time you step up to the bat and care and want to see someone's life transformed and see hope advance in a person's life. And not all the time are we going to hit it from the sweet spot. But I want to provide some thoughts today, some encouragement, something that you can learn from, that you can take some swings in the batting cage on and work on making contact at the sweet spot. So serving from your sweet spot, whether your preferred sweet spot is on a tennis racket or a Louisville Slugger, the concept is the same. I won't even mention how awful I am at hitting the sweet spot of a golf driver, but that's a whole nother podcast webinar time. So today we're going to look at serving from your sweet spot. The objectives today is I don't want to see you strike out. I don't want to see you constantly swing and miss, because ultimately you're hurting yourself and you're hurting the team, and you're not reaching the ultimate goal, which is to make contact with the ball and get yourself onto first base. Or flat out just get yourself to first base, even if you miss the ball, but get walked or swing on that third strike and make it to first base. Whatever you can do, just get to first base is the goal here. And one of the best ways of getting to first base is hitting it on that sweet spot. And to hit a single would mean that we're going to talk about some questions that'll help you with this. Discover your sweet spot. So the single is to discover your sweet spot and find out what is your area of destiny, or your AOD, your area of destiny. Now, if you really line one into the outfield and it goes past the center fielder and the right fielder, you have yourself a chance to get to second base or hit a double. And a double in our case today is when you reflect upon when you know you hit the sweet spot. Sometimes we just swing and we make contact and we just start running as fast as we can, and that's fine. That's part of the goal here. But at some point, preferably when you hit second base, you want to be able to stop, catch your breath, and think back, okay, what steps did I take? What happened just 30 seconds ago that landed me here on second base? Was it my stance? Was it my attitude? Was it my focus? Was it my vision? What was it that allowed me to hit the sweet spot and hit this double? Now, hitting a single or a double is great, and you'll go to the Hall of Fame if you do that 1 out of 3 times, or 33 1/3 times out of 100. You'll be well on your way to Cooperstown, New York, and be in the Baseball Hall of Fame. But what's even more fun, what's even more exciting, is when you really nail one in the sweet spot, and you know that you're headed for third. You've got a chance to beat that throw from the outfield, and you're sliding into third, and you're hopping up, and the crowd is cheering, and you feel that rush of excitement. A triple today is that I want to see you prioritize your sweet spot service. I want you to not only find out that you have a sweet spot, because you do. I not only want you to think about when you know you've hit the sweet spot, or times in your life when you're pretty sure you hit the sweet spot, because we can learn from those. And that'll help us even go further, which is to hit a triple, which is when we make our sweet spot service a priority. I want to see you, and I want to see my life continue to focus on that sweet spot and make serving out of that place a priority. Whether it's a certain gift or a certain talent or a certain treasure that you're able to share with someone at just the right time, that's one way that you'll be able to hit that sweet spot and know that your service is connecting with another person, and you're really advancing hope that the next day is going to be better than the day that they're facing right now. So I want to prioritize your sweet spot at home and at work and beyond. And then finally, we want to break those records of Babe Ruth, Mickey Mantle, Roger Maris, Barry Bonds, Mark McGwire, today's home run leaders, Mike Trout, Nolan Arenado, Bryce Harper. We want to break all those home run records, and we want to help you develop a sustainable rhythm of service. The best hitters, people like Ted Williams back in the 40s, people like Cal Ripken Jr., people like Nolan Arenado today, these people are obsessed about developing a specific and sustainable rhythm to every time they step into the batter's box. They go through the same routine. They go through the same rituals. They have the same frame of mind, the same focus that they bring to each and every at-bat. And that's what I want to see you be able to do as a result of our time today. I want to see you not only once in a while get lucky into hitting the sweet spot, but I want to see you time and time again serve in a sustainable rhythm of sweet spot service. So say that 5 times fast. Sweet spot service. So first goal here, let's find our sweet spot. Let's not keep striking out. Let's not keep wasting our precious time and energy. Have you ever felt that way, like in a job or in trying to help someone, that you're just spinning your wheels, that you're just trying to constantly just be on that treadmill and you just can't get any place at all. Those of us that go into people helping professions sometimes feel like the antithesis of our sweet spot is the dreaded progress report, or the data that we have to track that says how many times you did what and when you did them and why you did them, and were you using your left hand or your right hand at the time when you did them, and did you do it last Thursday at 2 p.m. or last Wednesday at 1 p.m. and why didn't you do it at 2 p.m. on Wednesday? So many times we get so bogged down and feel so drained and empty, and if we're being honest, just ready to throw in the towel. Just like, I'm tired of trying to do what I know I'm good at, which is help people, when all I get in return is flack about how I'm not filling out this form right, I'm not filling out this tracker right, I'm not doing this right, I'm not doing that right. I'm having to sit through a budget meeting instead of getting out there and really helping someone. Budget meetings, staffing analysis, goal setting. Oftentimes we don't feel like that's a part of our sweet spot, even though those can be important parts of the puzzle to help us realize what our sweet spot is. So today I want to introduce you to a term called area of destiny. You have an area of destiny, which is this Venn diagram, which is that spot in the middle where these three circles all intersect at once. These three circles are skills that you have, interests that you have, and the opportunity that you have in this moment or in this season of life to take advantage of these skills and interests that you have. It's been picked up and really brought to the business world by Jack and Susie Welch, a couple of business gurus who really know their stuff when it comes to helping people. When they would call and ask them, for a bit of career advice, they'd say, well, I just feel like I'm in the dead-end position. It's not what I want to do. It's not what I'm passionate to do. And I just feel stuck. Maybe your passion and your interest has to do with music. And you have the skills to play music, but you just haven't found the opportunity to utilize those skills. And so what we want to see you do is find those opportunities to be able to utilize those skills and interests and put that all together. So that's your area of destiny. That's your sweet spot. That's that spot on the Louisville Slugger in the middle of the tennis racket where Serena Williams slams those 120-mile-an-hour serves and the opponent just has no chance because it was almost effortless, because she knew how to get that perfect motion to swing the racket, hit the ball in the center of the racket, and it made that ace serve. So here's what I want you to do. I'll send you all a link to these questions, but if you have a pen and paper right now close at hand, or you can type these questions down, please do so. 3 questions that you must answer if you want to discover your sweet spot. Number 1, what am I uniquely good at? That's trying to discern maybe, certain gifts or talents that you just have an ability, an aptitude for. It could be a knowledge aptitude. It could be a character aptitude. It could just be kind of your personality makeup, your temperament. Or it could be a skill. Maybe you grew up in a family that were really good at fixing things and really good at skills like using a table saw or welding or doing some sort of electrical work or plumbing work. I have to tell you, those were not skills I inherited. You can just ask anyone that knows me. I'm given the skills of breaking things and making things worse when I try to fix them. And so that's not a gift that I've been given out through the gift line, but maybe you've got a certain niche or talent that you have that you've always had or just always been able to develop further. But sometimes that's not what we love to do. You may have a significant ear for music, but to sit and practice a piece of music in order to get it into playable condition just sounds like torture to you. You'd much rather use that gift of music at just singing along to the songs on the radio. So what is it that you love to do? If you could again, that old example, if you could do anything and money was not an option, what would you do? What do you love doing? What brings you joy, satisfaction, excitement every time you get your hands on doing those things? And then finally, what kind of skills are needed? So if I have a love for music, and yet my musical talent and my musical skills are just a hair above Mary Had a Little Lamb, then I might need some more musical skills if I'm ever going to take this show on the road. If I have a love for fixing cars and fixing them up, and I have a love for studying and learning about old cars and the intricate details about old cars, but I don't know how to change the oil or fix a carburetor or work on a transmission, then that's not going to be useful. I'm going to have to develop some more skills. I might have some skills. I might be able to jump start a car. I might be able to wash a car. I might be able to, talk a good car game with my mechanic. But truly, if you don't have the skills, you're not going to be able to really serve from that sweet spot. You might have the greatest love for baseball and greatest love for the game and love for trying to emulating the perfect swing. But if you do not hone in on the skills it takes to create that perfect swing, it's just not going to happen. I want to give you permission from the beginning that we are not going to find or utilize or hit a double, triple, or home run if we play it safe. So you've got to make mistakes. You've got to take the risk of just, you know what? Even if the wheels of this whole thing are going to come falling off, I've got to take the risk. I've got to move forward. I've got to go for it. Got to give it the best shot. I love this quote from Jack Welch. He says, "What should I do with my life?" He says, that is one of the life questions you should never stop answering. So don't stop. Keep asking the question, what should I do with my life? Or some of us like to say, what do I want to do when I grow up? Or what do I want to be when I grow up? And sometimes I would encourage you to ask both of those questions. What do I want to do when I grow up? But even more important, who do I want to be when I grow up, when I start to chase these dreams? What kind of person do I want to be? So please don't ever stop asking those questions. No one should ever stop asking those questions. So ask yourself, what am I uniquely good at? Again, this could be a talent, a gift, time that you have. Maybe your gift to this world today is that you have a gift of time. How rare is it for someone that can truly say that they don't feel bogged down by their calendar? I even talk to so many retired folks that say that they're busier now that they're retired than when they were working a full-time job. But a gift, just to put it into priority, how do I know it's a gift versus just something that I kind of enjoy doing? A gift is something that you'll keep working on. It's a skill, and yet it's something that you'll also continue to work on and develop because you know that this skill is something that you're passionate about. It's something that you can see will be beneficial to, make people's lives better. That's why we believe in this so much. And the second thing is that we need to ask this question so we can gain clarity. Clarity of thought, clarity of feeling, clarity of action. So you may, again, have a musical gift. You may have a gift of putting things together, of putting the pieces of the puzzle together. But that gift is only going to go so far unless you develop it, unless you really seek clarity. Are you clear about what you're good at, or do you feel like you're still kind of searching? You might feel like, I'm just kind of, if I'm being honest, I'm just kind of mediocre or semi-good at 2 or 3 things, but I've never really found that one thing that just feels like it's my own personal home run, so to speak. That's part of that clarity process, just to keep asking that question. And don't get tired of asking, even though it may seem like it's repetitive or overly simplistic. Please just keep asking the question, what am I uniquely good at? And what am I uniquely good at with my time, with my talent, and with my treasure? Second question. After you ask yourself, what am I uniquely good at? I want you to ask yourself, what do I love doing? What are your passions? What's your motivation to get out of bed in the morning? let's just be honest here. If it's solely just to get a paycheck, we'll all run out of motivation to get out of bed. If our motivation is to perch ourselves up on some great high pedestal every time we get out of bed, at some point we're going to look around and nobody's staring at us on our pedestal. Or somebody's going to take a hammer and knock out the pedestal for us, and we'll just be tumbling back to earth. So ask yourself, what do I love to do? Is it something with art, like photography or painting? Or is it something with nature? Is it hiking? Is it camping? Is it fishing? Is it working with animals? What do you love to do? Do you love to listen to stories? Do you love to share experiences? Another way to do this is I cannot imagine never, and then fill in the blank. Excuse me. I cannot imagine never going on another hike. I could not imagine never taking another picture. I could not imagine never visiting with another person in a nursing home. Because that's the joy of coming to the plate. Again, we want to tap into that passion. Even though these Major League Baseball players and these football superstars are making gargantuan amounts of money, at some point there's plenty of stories of players and celebrities alike that have just fizzled out, failed to care anymore, and just squandered everything because they lost the passion. They never were really in touch with their passion. The tennis player Andre Agassi was a great example of this. Back in the late 80s and throughout the 90s, early 2000s, he was one of the top professional tennis players. He was on commercials all the time about cameras called the Rebel, and he was always known as the Rebel because he wore all these bright colors in tennis where everybody was prim and proper and used to only wear white, and he had long hair and looked like a punk rocker, and yet ever since he was a little child, his father had forced him to play tennis, had forced him to pursue this dream of the fathers, not the dream of the sons. So Andre Agassi could easily imagine never playing tennis again, and he often did imagine that, and he often did think, boy, what would it be like just to walk out of this crowded stadium of tens of thousands of people that are cheering me on and just never come back. I would say that's not joy at work. I would say that's really just distress and despair at work. But joy of coming to the plate, the joy of going through the rituals, the joy of the battle, that I'm going to keep honing this craft. I'm going to keep playing those scales. I'm going to keep working on my painting technique. I'm going to keep working on my baking technique. I'm going to keep working on being a good listener so I can be there for someone who's in a time of need. That's where that love of doing comes into play and is so important. So maybe you're pretty clear on your talent or your gifting. Maybe you're pretty clear on the area of interest that you have, the gifting that you're willing to put in the extra time and effort to develop. But ultimately, you're going to reach a limit. You're only going to go so far in those two areas before you're just going to stop. And so I want to encourage you to ask this third question is, what kind of skills are needed? This is your mission. This is your personal mission, almost where you need to write down a personal mission statement where you ask yourself and you reflect upon those things that you're good at, those things that you're interested at, and then you ask yourself the question, where am I going with this? Where do I see myself going with this? Where do I want to go with this? And then how do I get there? Is it an existing skill that you want to fine-tune and improve? Or is it a brand new skill that you want to learn? Maybe you've always dreamed of using your professional expertise in another country just for the fun of it, but you don't know the language. You have the skills of computer programming. You have the interest of computer programming and another culture, but the skills aren't there. The rest of the piece of the puzzle hasn't been developed. So maybe you'll need to get real involved in a language program and start to learn whatever language it is that you'll be going to, and consider that part of your life mission, is to craft a statement or craft an image in your mind of what it looks like to move forward, what it looks like to get one step closer to that dream of connecting all those circles into your area of destiny. Here's another diagram that asks the three questions, just in a little bit different format. So what are you good at? What do you love? And what do people want? That's that piece of the puzzle that kind of looks out into the future a little bit and says, what do people really want? What would really help people that I can learn? Is it a new skill? Is it a character issue? Is it picking up, just something that's very simple for you to do for another person? What is it that you can start to learn, that you can start to pick up, even if it's something super simple, that would make a difference in someone else's life, because that's what they want. That's what they're looking for, is just some simple piece of the puzzle to come together. And what if you were that person that brought these three pieces of the circle together and were able to help this person who is looking for to answer the question, what do I do with my life? So I have some thoughts here about getting started, and I want to encourage you that it's okay. I mean, this woman looks so intense right now. She's got her eyes focused. She's in her perfect sprinter stance. She's got her matching outfit on and her headband perfectly in place. And she's about ready to take off at the sound of that starting gun. But I want to encourage you to remember, don't get so focused on racing out of the starting blocks that you lose your balance on your first 2 or 3 steps and you fell out on your face. This is a marathon, not a sprint. This is a process of finding this discovery, looking for your area of destiny, and then discerning, what is it that I can do with this? How do I approach this? That may take months or even years in some cases to really hone in on, what does this need to happen? So I'd encourage you, start by filling out your 3 circles. Literally, if you need to take a blank piece of paper and draw these 3 interconnected circles, do so. In one circle, list gifts that you feel like you have. Again, it could be a gift of a certain amount of time. Could be a certain gift like listening. Could be a certain gift like making people feel at home. It could be a certain gift of teaching and explaining things. It could be technology gifts. It could be, the sky's the limit in terms of gifts. There's no way to come up with a definitive list of gifts, but these would be things that you can pretty much say, you know what? These are interesting enough that I could see myself working towards them. I could see myself gaining more clarity as I work with these gifts. And then the second circle I'd like you to highlight is passion. This is, again, what just gets you excited? What races the adrenaline in your glands? And maybe you need to ask somebody, hey, you know me really well. This could be your spouse, your brother, your sister, a best friend, a close colleague at work. I'm trying to really find this sweet spot. I just feel like I've been missing the mark. I feel like I've been striking out a lot. I just feel like all my efforts to make a difference in this world keep coming back empty. And I'm just getting really tired of it. It just feels so futile. It feels so meaningless and empty. Would you help me rediscover what I'm excited about? Would you help me think through, these are the 3 or 4 things that I'm just totally jazzed about. Maybe it's literally jazz music. Maybe you're totally excited about animals, or you're super passionate about helping the poor, or being there for elders who don't have anyone else that'll be in their lives. Whatever that passion is, don't run away from it. Don't make the mistake of of tampering it down if the rest of you is really excited to look at it. Take a look at that passion and then see what skills are needed for me to really embody and embrace these gifts that I've been given and the skills that I've been able to develop. And it might be that you start a completely new document. You have a brand new Word document or a brand new PowerPoint document that you do this on. However you do it, I just want you to do it. Just fill out your circles, gifts, passion, and skills, so that you can then identify, even with more clarity, what's in your sweet spot. So not only fill out your circles, but listen to your life. Again, more questions to ask yourself. Get a journal, type it out on a file on your computer, talk it over with a friend, whatever you need to do to process this, but listen to your life. Don't just be the one talking to your life and saying, well, we're going to do, X, Y, and Z, whether anybody else agrees with us or not. Sometimes that's the case. Sometimes by listening to our life, that really is the message that we need to follow. But oftentimes it's more just subtle. It's more continuing to ask the question, if money, time, energy were no obstacle, were no issue, what would I do with my time? What if I started with a blank slate? How would I fill my days? How would I fill the 168 hours in the week? Another thing to consider is, what do you love or hate doing? What gives you energy? What drains you? And what do you want to change, shape, and leave better? Also ask yourself, who am I drawn to help? That can sometimes be a great energizer. Maybe you're just not energized by teenagers, and that's okay. You don't have to be energized by teenagers, and you're not energized and love to work with 4-year-olds. But hopefully there are people who are gifted and talented and passionate enough that will pick up that mantle, pick up that torch, and run with it. And then what do you experience? What do you want to experience? What do you want to witness from this opportunity as you listen to your life and you consider, what direction do I go with all of this? I adapted these from an article called Discover Your God-Given Calling, because I think listening to your life is very similar to discerning what those, what those passions, what those things that bring us energy are. I love this quote from Craig Rochelle. He says, based on who you want to become, what do you need to do? Based on who you want to become, what do you need to do? He would encourage us all that it's not good to just jump into the what. What should I do? How should I be doing it? What needs changed? Rochelle points out, what you do and how you do it flows out of an overflow of your heart. So who you want to become is going to determine what you need to do. If who you want to become is the most kind-hearted, compassionate, patient-centered nurse that this last decade has ever seen, then what skills are you going to need to be able to pull that off? What else are you going to need to be able to enjoy that? Important to ask. So by starting with who, then you go to what. So I identify the desire to change. I identify the area of my sweet spot, and then I identify parts of the training, parts of the skill set that I'm lacking, and then I begin to just jump in. I begin to start small, and sometimes I need to start a small discipline in order to reach who I want to become. Maybe if I want to become the most compassionate and loving nurse, maybe I need to start with a daily discipline of prayer or meditation that will help me react with more love instead of more chaos and confusion. So start small. Maybe that's a journal that you just write in for 2 minutes. Maybe that's 30 seconds of quiet before you head out in the day. Maybe that's in talking to one person that you don't normally talk to at your workplace because you just want to practice. You want to make it less strenuous to reach out and connect with someone. And ultimately, based upon who you want to become, you really got to just pour your life into it. There's no substitute for just jumping in and pouring your life out. So that's what I'd like to encourage you to do today. I'd like to encourage you to find that area of destiny. I'd like you to look at this diagram again. Start with your gifts. What am I naturally good at? What have I been able to pick up relatively smoothly and easily? and start to just list those. And from those, what am I truly passionate about? What am I truly interested in? What gets me excited and motivated to jump out of bed in the morning? For me, I definitely know that doing taxes does not make me want to jump out of bed in the morning. Doing this does. Sharing helpful training, encouraging people, raising up an army of hope that'll go out there and advance hope in some pretty hopeless and dark places. Helping people realize that what you're doing now is advancing hope. If you're helping someone have a better today than they had yesterday, helping someone get ready to have a better tomorrow than they had today, that's advancing hope. That could be done on the playground at your school. That could be done in your church community. That could be done in your office complex. That could be done in your home after work at night or on the weekends. It doesn't matter when these things take place. It's what the passion is and how do you manifest that passion. How does that come out? And seeing if there's any overlap in there. And finally, you want to look for those skills that you still need to develop. So a gift is only as good as we take it. It's only as good as we work with it. These baseball players, football players, the best of the best, like Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, John Elway, Joe Montana, the baseball players like Mickey Mantle, guys like Nolan Arenado, Mike Trout, are noticeably some of the hardest workers, even though some would argue that they were given an abundance of God-given talent, so why should they have to work so hard? Well, they realize that with even as much God-given talent as they have, it still takes time and effort to work on those skills, so I don't want you to leave that behind. So work through this to discover your area of destiny, discover that sweet spot, and then stop and reflect back upon how am I utilizing this? How am I utilizing my sweet spot? Is it for the betterment of people that I know and love, or is it just to become a stronger person so I can, make a greater difference in this world? But just ask yourself, what is it that I need to do to keep working on all of these areas so I can go out there and advance hope, so I can help someone have a better tomorrow than today. So thank you again for joining me as we search for our sweet spot, as we learn some healthy rhythms like filling out these circles, like journaling, like talking to our friends, like going through new classes to learn new skills. I hope you find this helpful. I hope you develop rhythms that will help you keep taking meaningful and quality swings at the plate, and that we'll all hit some home runs over the wall, where we'll just continuously serve from your sweet spot. Thanks again for joining me today. I really appreciate your time and attention, and I look forward to joining you again. Have a great day.